Tracey Ferrant here, another journal. Dysfunction brings destruction. Dysfunction brings destruction. Destruction in your finances, destruction in your relationships, dysfunction in your friendships, dysfunction in your even your career, in your mental health. It brings destruction. And so that is where we are not to downplay the impact of dysfunction. When we're born, we're being raised and being guided about values and ourselves and everything. And that foundation is very important to who we are and how we develop. So when these dysfunctions come, we can't just discard them as not important or not impactful, because dysfunction brings this destruction, as I say, in your mental health, in your clarity, in your focus, in your decision making, in your relationships, in your friendships, in your boundaries, what you tolerate, what you don't tolerate, in how you choose a friend, in how you choose a spouse, in how you choose a job, in how you choose different situations and how you move through life. And that is why we should not tolerate dysfunction, but instead we should address it. People like to sweep things under the carpet, just love and forgive and love and forgive. But love also means bringing light. Because it says, evil people love darkness and they hate the light, lest their ways be revealed. So love is light. And so light brings light to the fact that I am being harmed. I am being harmed in this situation. Or this thing has a long-term impact on me, or my boundaries are being breached. But what they teach you to do is just love and forgive and give second chances, third chances, and all of those things without addressing the issues. And so the part about addressing an issue is downplayed by religion, because they don't address issues enough. The only thing they say mostly is love and forgive. But love is active and love is potent, and love is a comprehensive medicine. Love is a comprehensive treatment that includes correction, compassion, sometimes penalties, sometimes. Love is a combination of factors. Love is provision, love is protection, and other things. And so when people just say love and forgive, it is kind of a dismissive approach and a cupping out of not addressing issues. And so dysfunction ought, in every aspect of life, ought to be addressed. And one of the things I realize is that when we're being raised, the reason why people tolerate, one of the reasons why people tolerate bad friendships and bad relationships, a boyfriend, a husband, a wife, a girlfriend, a job, a colleague, a boss, abusing them, is because they've learned to put up with dysfunction. They've learned to tolerate dysfunction. They've learned to tolerate breaches of their boundaries. And so this was taught to us when we were younger. And so instead of having a healthy structure where you have a voice as a person, you have a voice, whether you're a child, whether you're the wife, whether you're a husband, you have a voice about how you are being, your place in this unit and your place in this sect, this important society. Because your family is kind of like a mini society, so to speak. It's a structure. So you are not taught to express yourself and to have boundaries. Boundaries of about protecting yourself, your well-being, valuing yourself as important, not sacrificing your well-being for another person. But instead, a lot of the dysfunction has to do with domestic abuse and, physical abuse. And domestic abuse is not only between a man and a woman. It also includes the children in the household, because it's domestic, whatever happens in the home. Or kind of sexual abuse or financial abuse. Or verbal abuse. And so you learn for people to hurt you, people to harm you, people to breach your boundaries. And the next day is business as usual. It's normal. It's family as usual. It's this as usual. And so issues are not addressed. They're swept away, and you learn to just take the go into the sunken place and just become like an emotional zombie, and you just go through the rounds. One day this something bad is happening, your boundaries are being breached, you're being mistreated, you're being verbally abused, and you're not given a place to speak up and for issues to be addressed, because you are a future adult. And so you ought to be taught these skills, you know, and that your value as a unit within this family, within a unit within this structure, within this social group, within this community. And so, because you've been taught that way, dysfunction, back to normal, dysfunction, back to normal, dysfunction, back to normal. And so, throughout life, you don't realize it or not, but you're programmed. And so, in your decision making towards choosing friends, choosing a spouse, choosing a boyfriend, a girlfriend, choosing a job, the way you operate on the job, the way whether you choose to stay at a job or leave, your relationship with your boss, tolerating abuse from other colleagues and so on. You've learned to accept dysfunction and to be misguided, in your decision making and in terms of your value and your worth. Because that wasn't taught to you when you're younger as a unit that is important, a unit that is being trained to move about in life. And so, as I mentioned, there's dysfunction, back to normal, dysfunction, back to normal. People do you things, but it's back to normal. And some of the things that we tolerate in families is horrible. You'd never tolerate that from a colleague. You'd never tolerate that from a friend. And so, whether it's grandma, it doesn't mean that you condemn grandma or grandpa or mom or dad, but you're supposed to be given a space where you can freely express yourself. And it doesn't mean that you're disrespectful, but if someone is being harmed, you should have the ability, or you must have the ability to express yourself. And I'm not talking about, oh, I need a Nike or I need a Gucci bag. No. Or I don't want to eat this food unless there's something wrong with it, of course, or unless there's some allergy. I'm not talking about those small things. I'm talking about where there was domestic violence. You should be able to say to an aunt, to grandma, or to the other parent, you know, this person injured me. This person said this to me, or you say it directly to the person, I am not okay with being treated like this. You have a problem and you're not going to put that problem on me. There's a dysfunction within you. But you're not given a space because you're taught children obey your parents. But it says children. It didn't say adults obey your parents. It said children obey your parents, not adults. Because when you're as an adult, you move into your own and you manage your own sense of being, right? And then the church comes and says, oh, love and forgive, love and forgive. And so that layer sense of dismissing an approach where you address things, whether you love and forgive or not, but you address issues, which is a greater factor. Because love is a greater thing. Because love says, I want this person to be healthy. I want this person to be protected. I want this person to be corrected. And I want this whole community to do better. Financially, emotionally, spiritually, and so on, in responsibility and everything, in health, mental health, physical health. And so therefore I'm going to address the bigger issue. So that is love. But what they teach you is a kind of microwave sense of love where you just pretend as if nothing is happening. And if you dare try to address it, they say you don't have love, you don't have forgiveness. But for true love says correction. Jesus is always correcting people. From even the Garden of Eden, God corrected Adam and Eve. He told them the truth. Likewise, back to Jesus, he spoke the truth to people. Whether it's to the Pharisees, or to the woman, or to the man who sinned, and he said, go that way and sin no more, lest the worst thing come upon you. Or to the woman who said, I forgive you, but go that way. So he was correcting, he was giving compassion to people. Whether it was to the children, or whether he was teaching and guiding. Love is a complete thing. But what they teach you is to dismiss issues and to pretend as if it does not exist. This is a false sense of, it's like a false sense of love. It's like infatuation. So Christianity presents an infatuated sense of Jesus Christ when it comes to love and forgiveness. Right? But foundational love, as you look at it, whether from a biblical perspective, a social perspective, or emotional perspective, or just common good sense, it means that you're going to be looking at the well-being of an individual, as well as a long-term and short-term well-being. So putting band-aids and pretending as if things that dysfunction is okay and it's just going to be swept away because you said love and forgive is not the truth of Jesus Christ as I see it, because God is love and love is comprehensive.